Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video, and we're going to be talking about every movie I watched last week with one TV show as well. Let's get into it, starting it off with my one TV show, or my one season of TV, which is also my favorite watch of the week, which is Season 1 of Andor, which I ranked a 95 out of 100, and man, the show is phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's really great to revisit this show because I haven't revisited season one. I don't think I've ever rewatched it. So I do think this is my first time rewatching season one, and it's truly, truly wonderful. And I have 3 episodes left of season 2, so I'll let you know how that is in the next video. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful show. I really, really love season 1. And truthfully, one thing I actually prefer about season 1 than season 2 so far is that it's 12 episodes of one story rather than broken up arcs. You know, I know Star Wars does that a lot, and I don't mind that, but I think it's just generally better to have 12 episodes of one focus rather than 3 different, or sorry, I guess 4 different arcs of 3 episode arcs. So yeah, anyways, I'll talk more about that next week once I finish season 2, and I'm looking forward to that. Finally going to get to watch Rogue One after it as well, which I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, anyways, Andor is fantastic, like I said, and like I said as well, my favorite watch of the week, so that's iconic. Let's get on to the movies now, starting it off with my least favorite, which is also a franchise goal of mine for the year, which is The Exorcist. And let's start it off with my least favorite, which is Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist. So I also had a bit of a Stellan Skarsgård week this week, unintentionally, to be fair. Watched season 1 and most of season 2 of Andor, and I have 2 Exorcist movies in here with Stellan Skarsgård as well, so that's iconic. But yeah, I watched Dominion prequel to The Exorcist and Exorcist the Beginning on the same day, and though both of those movies fucking drained me. They were really hard to get through, they were hard to sit through, and I did not enjoy either of them. This franchise really, really is not strong. It has 2 very high points in the first Exorcist and the third Exorcist, and the rest of these movies are really hard to sit through, and I know I'm not the only person that thinks that. But yeah, this was not a fun series to get through, and it was only 6 movies. So yeah, Dominion was my least favorite, though. Ranked it a 10 out of 100. Fuck this movie. Not much better. Exorcist the Beginning, I ranked it a 16 out of 100. There's some studio interference. There's some change of directors with these 2 movies, but they're practically the same. And to be fair, I didn't know that at the time when I was first watching these movies. I'm like, why are so many of these scenes so similar? But yeah, I completely thought they were 2 different movies, which they are not. They're actually quite similar, but they also have quite different scenes. Quite a lot of different scenes for anyways. No. I really didn't enjoy either of these 2 movies at all. So, 16 out of 100. And let's move on to the newest of the Exorcist movies, which I ranked a 17 out of 100 for The Exorcist Believer, which I didn't enjoy this one either. Yeah, like I said, this is a hard franchise to get through, and like it's not a good franchise, I would say, unfortunately. Again, there's 2 really great movies in this franchise, but the other 4 are unbearable, in my opinion. Well, no, 3 of them are unbearable. One of them is you could watch, I guess. Anyways, yeah, let's just move on to The Punisher, which, to be honest, I didn't even know this existed until I'd watched the other Punisher movies that I had watched last week, and then I found out that this one exists, and this one was quite bad as well. They were all not good, really. One of them was okay, the original, or the 2004 one, I should say. It was okay, but the other 2, the one with Ray Stevenson, this one with Dolph Lundgren, not good movies, hard to sit through, not enjoyable. Yeah, 24 out of 100 for The Punisher. Well, let's move on to Exorcist 2, The Heretic, which I ranked a 26 out of 100. Again, not a great movie, but at least there were some things that I did enjoy about this movie at a time, but then it got really, really weird, and I stopped enjoying it very quickly. And yeah, I also wasn't enjoying this either. 26 out of 100. Let's move on to a 2025 release in Flight Risk, which I've heard very bad things about this movie, and I really wasn't looking forward to watching this movie, although it was something I wanted to see in theaters. To be honest, I didn't really want to spend the money on it, but then I was going to, and then I just didn't get around to going to see it in theaters. It just came out this week on Prime or Crave, I don't remember, but watched it, and honestly, it was kind of a nice surprise. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Really, the worst part of this movie was the brutal acting throughout. Pretty much everyone. I think Mark Wahlberg was fine, but everyone else, was really brutal, and it was hard to sit through. And yeah, 44 out of 100. If I didn't enjoy the plot, or if I didn't have some sort of interest in the plot, which I did, this would have been much lower, because again, the acting was genuinely unbearable to watch. Let's move on to Black Swan, which I ranked a 65 out of 100. This was a pretty disappointing movie. This is a very highly respected movie, but this is not a movie I enjoyed. I find a lot of weird psychological thrillers I don't typically enjoy, and this kind of just fits right in with that list. And yeah, I just didn't really enjoy this movie. The climax of this movie, the very end, the last like 15 minutes of this movie was really spectacular. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the best that I've seen of Darren Aronofsky so far. And yeah, I just really loved the ending of this movie, and that's about it. Like, I thought the movie was just so okay, and then we get to this amazing final like 15 minutes. Again, that climax was just amazing, and it really raised my ranking for this movie. But ultimately, this was a really disappointing watch, because I kind of had really high expectations for it, and ultimately just kind of fell flat. It was a decent movie, I guess. 65 out of 100. Let's move on to a pretty big jump onto another theme of the week, which is How to Train Your Dragon, starting off with my least favorite, How to Train Your Dragon 3, or The Hidden World, which I did enjoy this movie. And this is actually my first time watching the third one. I've never seen the third one before. I've only seen the first two, and which I also rewatched those this week. And getting prepared for what is about to be what is my most anticipated movie of the year, which is How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake, and I'm really not ready for it. I'm really not ready for it. I'm going to be very, very emotional watching it. Anyways, we can talk about that more once we get to the first one, but yeah. The third one, a nice first watch. I enjoyed it, ranked it an 80 out of 100. Moving on to The Exorcist, which I ranked an 81 out of 100. I don't find many old horror movies to be scary or anxiety-inducing or creepy in any way, but this movie was really creepy, and it kind of made me feel like anxious at times, which again, I don't really even feel that with most horror movies, especially not older horror movies. So it was nice that I got to feel that with this movie, and I definitely recommend that, or recommend the first and the third Exorcist if you've never seen them, because there's definitely some frightening stuff in it, and they're really both quite good movies. So I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the first Exorcist, ranked it an 81 out of 100, and it's something I would like to rewatch as well. So definitely a win there, and one of the most iconic movie posters in history as well, which is nice. Let's move on to The Whale, which Darren Aronofsky's filmography is one I want to go through this year. And Darren Aronofsky's only movie that I had seen before this week was The Whale, which I'd seen in theaters a couple of years ago when it came out. And I remember when I first walked out of the theater and I first watched this movie, I thought this was one of the greatest things I had ever seen in my life. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I ranked it a 99 out of 100. And for a long time, the more movies I've been watching, I'm like, man, I gotta rewatch this movie because I don't think that ranking is gonna stay the same. And that rating did not stay the same. It's gone down to an 84 out of 100, so it's gone down quite a bit. But I still really enjoy this movie, but the ending is such a choice that if it doesn't sit well with you, it could really take away from the rest of the movie, which I enjoy this movie. Probably a big reason as to why is because I really like Brendan Fraser, and I really like him in this movie. He puts on a fantastic performance, and ultimately, again, I just think the ending is such a choice where it doesn't sit well with some people, and I know it doesn't. And it really worked for me when I first seen it, but this time it didn't really work for me, and that kind of takes away from the rest of the movie, I find, which, I mean, again, I still enjoyed it, ranked it an 84 out of 100, but it went down a lot from a 99 to an 84, which is pretty crazy, so... Alright, let's move on to How to Train Your Dragon 2, which, to be honest, I kept... While I was going through this movie, I'm like, man, I really don't remember a lot of this movie, but I'd seen it a couple of years ago. Like, it hasn't been long at all since I'd seen it, and I really didn't remember a lot of it, so... that was kind of interesting to revisit, I guess, because a lot of these scenes, I'm like, man, I do not remember this, don't remember this, don't remember this, but... Yeah, this is a great movie as well, and I really enjoyed it. Ranked it an 85 out of 100. Just a nice, fun, enjoyable trilogy. It really is. And lots of good times and good vibes with all of these movies. Alright, let's move on to my 350th movie of the year, which was Last Night in Soho, which was quite a fun movie to watch. One I really enjoyed. And I think I enjoyed more than I thought I was going to. And truthfully, I had no idea what this movie was about. But I want to go through some of Edgar Wright's films, and this was one of them, and I'm glad I chose to watch it this week because I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. And it was quite a lot of fun with probably easily my favorite movie soundtrack. It was just so electric and electrifying that multiple times I found myself looking at buying the vinyl throughout the movie, so that's quite interesting. Not often I do that, so I definitely want to get this vinyl because I loved this soundtrack. This is one of the best looking movies, especially with the uses of color throughout, going from the 60s to modern day. It's really great. I would definitely recommend this movie if you have not seen it because this is a really great movie, and I really, really enjoyed it. Ranked it an 86 out of 100. Let's move on to, actually that started the top three, so let's move on to my second favorite watch of the week, which was The Exorcist 3. And yeah, like I said earlier, this is a 2-movie franchise to me now. When I rewatch this franchise, I'm only watching the first and the third because I'm only watching those 2 movies. The rest of the movies are absolute garbage. The Exorcist 3 was amazing. I really enjoyed this. We have 2 phenomenal performances throughout, and there are genuine tension-building scenes. There's genuine horror scares. There's an amazing jump scare. One of the best jump scares I've ever seen in film, especially for the time. Absolutely petrifying, which that's what most of my review is about. Cinema, oh man, unbelievable, truly great movie, and it really is great, and I keep thinking about it. I keep replaying that scene specifically in my head. I wish I had been watching it on the TV, because I would have been so fucked, I think, because I was not expecting a jump scare from that, but yeah, holy fuck, amazing scene, one of my favorite horror scenes of all time, immediately. It just shot right up very, very easily. Alright, now let's move on to my favorite watch of the week, or at least movie of the week, which is How to Train Your Dragon, which, again, like I mentioned earlier, this movie is very special to me. I remember really growing up with this movie and really loving this movie growing up, and I'm genuinely not ready for what I'm about to experience on Wednesday when I go see How to Train Your Dragon, because I am going to be such a mess. Multiple times this year since my town has gotten the IMAX theater, I've seen trailers for Superman and I've seen trailers for How to Train Your Dragon in IMAX, and each time I'm getting emotional and I'm getting chills, and I'm really not prepared for the actual test drive scene in How to Train Your Dragon. I cried to it today. I cried twice in the first movie today, and I'm gonna be such a wreck. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if I rank the first one higher, just because I feel like it's gonna be so much more emotional for me, and I think it's just gonna have such an impact on me emotionally, and I'm really not ready for it. And then obviously you guys will find out in the next video, or next week's video, I guess. But man, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it affects me, and I'm looking forward to it. So with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.